at an industry fora or a platform, what is it that you'll be telling him?
No, I don't attend industry fora in any event. But look, I have the greatest respect for Mr. Tata. I think he's a man of, he's an inspiring man vis-a-vis the group he leads and his personal conduct. I have nothing to say which is in any way personally disrespectful of him. I have raised issues. I have always raised issues of principle. I would hope that he stands up and answers, and it is quite conceivable that he, being the chairman of the Tata Group, does not really know the nitty-gritties of what his telecom companies are doing, in which case he should basically clean up those companies and make sure that they stand up and are aligned to the Tata philosophies of ethos and ethics.
One last question, Rajiv. Jan 10, 2008, black letter day, as it were, in India's telecom history. There have been many other such milestones, but that was truly a black letter day. You've written on this to the Prime Minister as well. You've been taking informed decisions on this matter. You've been telling people that this is what happened and it was wrong. What do you make of the way spectrum, which is a finite national resource, was hijacked that day?
No, look, there's no point us going back into history and getting into what went wrong. Dysfunctionality in the telecom sector will continue as long as we don't have a simple, transparent policy of giving away scarce national assets. We must not, as a nation, get hoodwinked by these elaborate arguments of NPV and investor sentiment and consumer interest and so on and so forth that get thrown at us every day by A politician, B politician, or C bureaucrat. These are national assets. They belong to the people of India. At this stage, when spectrum has to be given to anybody who wants it, it has to be through a transparent process which gives the maximum value to the exchequer of the Government of India and the people of the Government of India.
Thank you so much, Rajiv, for speaking to Headlines
today.
Thank you. That was Rajiv Chandrasekhar talking about increased transparency and better corporate governance, both in terms of the government and the private sector, as far as telecom is concerned.
All right, joining us now is Sandeep Bamzai, a senior editor who got us that exclusive interview with the Rajya Sabha MP. Sandeep, we did hear Chandrasekhar making those scathing comments, questioning the morals and ethics of Tata Group at large, even alleging that they did emerge as the biggest beneficiary. The question is that why didn't the Rajya Sabha MP point out to these discrepancies earlier on? Why didn't he highlight, the Tata emerging or being the biggest beneficiary in spectrum allocation?
Avantika, for the last couple of years, ever since this famous fiddle took place, as far as spectrum, giving out spectrum in a private auction by A. Raja is concerned, Rajiv Chandrasekhar has been writing letters to the Prime Minister. He's been broaching this subject in Parliament as well. But it's only now that he's taken on Ratan Tata directly. And it's very rare for an industrialist to take on another industrialist publicly. And I think this would be a first when somebody like Ratan Tata, who is an extremely respected figure in business and industry, has been taken on publicly by a rival industrialist who, as he told me, has always batted in many ways for the ethical standards and virtues that are practiced by the Tata Group.
Yes, and all of those ethical standards are now in, there's a big question mark on that. But if you could just tell us a little bit more about the contents of this letter. And did he receive any response from the Prime Minister? You just mentioned that Mr. Chandrasekhar did write several letters earlier on. Did he get any response from the government or from the Prime Minister?
Yes, I think the Prime Minister did respond to some of Mr. Chandrasekhar's letters. But, to take you back to the conversation that I had with him, as also the letter that he's written to Mr. Tata, he's raising some very sensible and equally sensitive issues. He's saying public policy is not good or bad. Public policy is public policy. It should not be to suit a business group or business interests. And he's talking about transparency. He's talking about how the Tatas and Mr. Tata needs to clean up all that is happening in Tata Teleservices. Because, as he said, he may be the chairman of Tata Sons and running a huge disparate global behemoth, but he probably doesn't know what's happening in Tata Teleservices and how Tata Teleservices actually benefited. And this benefit meant that 19,000 crores was lost by the exchequer, which is what Rajiv has pointed out in his conversation and also in his letter.
Does Rajiv talk about the other companies also who might have benefited on the spectrum allocation rather than just talking about the Tatas? Does he talk about the other companies also, Sandeep?
That is a very valid point that you've raised, and it's remarkable because he has not, in some of the letters he's dealt with this, but today and yesterday through the letter he's taken on only the House of Tatas and Ratan Tata personally.
All right, Sandeep, interesting bit of information coming out there. Let's just take you through, the contents of that letter. Ratan Tata has, of course, gone to the Supreme Court seeking protection of his privacy and to clear his image of all the Radia Gate charges. But now, this open letter that has been written by former telecom entrepreneur, who is, of course, the MP in Rajya Sabha, Rajiv Chandrasekhar, has raised some very, very important questions about Ratan Tata's role in this spectrum saga. In his letter, Chandrasekhar has taken some rather pointed potshots at Ratan Tata. The MP has alleged that Ratan Tata's company has caused the exchequer a loss amounting to 19,074.8 crore rupees by virtue of dual technology and out-of-turn allotment. Chandrasekhar scoffs at Ratan Tata's lament over hoarding of spectrum by existing operators. He alleges that the charge of hoarding applies equally to Tata Teleservices, whether it's total spectrum held or subscribers served based on that spectrum or price paid to acquire such spectrum. In fact, Rajiv Chandrasekhar also dismisses Ratan Tata's protests over policy flip-flops. He is alleged that Tata's company too has been a beneficiary of the same policy, who chose to accept the benefits at that time despite blatant violation and distortion. But that is time for us to take a short break. On the other side, we'll talk